All right, hi everyone. Jonathan Lindsay here for Tapestry TV. Thanks so much for joining me. I'm very excited today. We have the brand new Synergy SYN-20IR. This is a very long-awaited product. If any of you have been following this online, I know it's been sort of out there for the last year or so, but it's here in person, or in amp form, I should say. Really excited to check this out. This is going to be a nice first look at this for all of us, including myself. There's a lot to dig into with this amp. We're going to cover sort of different uses of it, different functionality. I've got a guitar plugged in here, so we'll get some tones as well. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So let's buckle up. It's going to be a bit of a longer one, and we'll get rolling here. So just to start off, for those of you that are not familiar with Synergy, Synergy is a really cool line where they're kind of fusing tube technology with digital technology, and this is sort of the heart of the line, are these preamp modules. This is what they look like. Kind of looks like the guts of a pedal. You can see all the capacitors and a PC board and stuff like that, but we've got a couple tubes in here. And each preamp is based on a famous amplifier. A lot of the amplifiers that they base these on are brand names too, and so if you see a brand name, this is the PV6505 here, they've actually worked directly with that manufacturer to develop the preamp. They haven't just slapped a name on it and said, oh, this sounds like a PV. They actually worked with PV to get this done, and they did that with quite a few brands. You can get Engel ones, Bogner ones, there's a Steve Vai one, Diesel, Friedman, of course. So lots of cool options there. And then they also have other ones that are voiced like amps that don't have the brand name on there. And I know there's some really cool ones in the works that I can't talk about, but coming down the pipe, so stay tuned there. But so the idea is you get this little modular preamp, and these are quite reasonably priced, so you can buy multiples of them, different types, different flavors, and then you've got some sort of a amplifier or docking station where these go right into there. And I've got the Dr. Z-Rec one loaded into here right now. So this slots in there. These are 2-channel preamps, and then this amp here also gives you a clean channel outside of that. So we've basically got 3 channels in this little amp here that we control by the front panel or by foot switch. And you're actually getting real tube tone through here. But what's really exciting about this, I think, I feel like this is the Synergy amp everyone's been waiting for, because they've done the SYN-1 and the SYN-2. There's been the SYN-20 and 30 and the big 50. This is the first one that has IRs integrated into it. So not only can we plug a guitar into here and plug it into a cab like this Friedman cab here, but we can also plug this directly into a computer, directly into front of house. You don't need to use a cab with it, so you can use your cabless sort of thing for direct recording, or if you're performing in a band where, let's say, you're using in-ears and you're not using stage monitors, you can run this with an actual 2 preamp as opposed to using a digital model pedal board. You're actually getting real tubes happening, which is really cool, because when you play this, it literally feels like playing tubes. When I play some of the digital modelers, I'm like, this sounds good. I'm sure this is going to be fine for everybody in the room, but there's something about just the feel and the touch of it that's not quite right, and that's what they really nail with this sort of setup. So back to the SYN-20IR. What we've got on the front here is basically, for the clean channel, we've got our volume and a tone, and then that ties into this end over here where we've got our master volume. We've got something called reactance, and we've got 3-way structure. We've got our channel button, and we've got an IR bypass with some IRs that we can choose from. Now, I'll get some tones here and we'll check this out. The reactance and the structure are kind of tied together in the power amp, and I'm going to read from their manual here because they sort of describe it best. So basically, the structure, the 3-way structure here, you've got A, B, and C. So A is, they call it a balanced and punchy sound. Mode B, they call it a vintage tone with relaxed mids, bright and shimmering high end. And then mode C, the last one there, delivers a modern tight feel with a solid low end and a darker high end. Oh, they all sound like fun. Now the reactance knob, this is kind of a different thing for a lot of guitar players. They say that this sort of is a combination of presence and depth and sag all at the same time based on the structure that you've chosen there. So these are interactive with each other. And basically, the more on the left you have this, they say that's going to give it a darker and tighter sound. And then when you go the other way, it makes it a more open and saggy sound. So we'll plug in shortly and find out if that is actually the way it is. In addition, on the back here, we've got a USB output. We've got an XLR balanced output, so you can use those for if you're direct recording, going in front of a house, for a cabless sort of rig. And then we've got our speaker outputs for various speaker ohmages, 4, 8, 16. There's also an effects loop, effects loop in there. And in the effects loop, I currently have a Strymon Flint in there just for a little bit of reverb, and nothing else there, but a very cool little unit. This is super portable, super small. Let me grab a guitar here and let's give it a little listen. All right, so I've got a Fender American Ultra 2 Stratocaster plugged into the Synergy here. We're going through a Friedman 212 cab. This, I believe, has Slush and Creambacks in there, 2 of them, of course. And then, as I mentioned before, I got the Strymon Flint in there for a little bit of reverb. So right now, I'm just in the first channel here, so I'm not even using the Dr. Z preamp at this point in time. This is just the Synergy's built-in clean channel, which is really cool because even if you put in a high gain module and you want both channels of high gain, you've still got a clean channel at your disposal. You don't have to sacrifice, a crunch mode or a lead mode just to get a clean tone. You've got that availability, which is really sweet. So let's take a listen to the clean channel, and we'll try the 3 different structures here, and we'll check out this reactance knob to see how that really works. I'm curious. It's some cool stuff I haven't seen before. So here we go. Cool, so this has got a lot of bottom end for sure. Tone knob's pretty much in the middle here. If I roll this up, let's check it out. And then vice versa, let's roll it down a ways, quite a ways. So it's a pretty powerful tone knob for sure. With it rolled down, it definitely works nice with the bass that's coming off here for a more mellow tone if I wanted more jazzy sort of stuff. Really nice and warm there, but up here gets pretty bright for sure. Whoops. So pretty wide range just with that one knob. That's pretty powerful. But now we also have to remember, not only do you have just that knob to choose from, we've also got our 3 different structures and the reactance. So let's check out structure number 2. This is the one that they said was more vintagey, I think. Vintage tone, relaxed mids, and a bright shimmering high end. Okay. Cool. Doesn't feel drastically different to me, but the bottom end is not quite as big and the mids are changed a little bit. Let's roll it over to structure C. This is the more modern, tight feel, solid low end, darker high end. Whoa, this one is really different. That's definitely sounds far different from the first two. I don't know if I would call it darker high end, but the mids are kind of flipped. It's definitely a different sort of thing. Okay, let's just go back to the first one here, back on A, and we'll check out the reactance knob. So here's where we are in the middle. Let's try it down. All right, flip side. Well, it really changes sort of the feel of the amp. I don't know how well the sound changes are coming across. Hopefully you can hear them, but it really feels different under the fingers. And it's nice that you can really cater the amp to your specific sort of needs in a lot of really subtle ways, which is cool. Let's check out B, same thing here. So here we're in the middle where we were. Flip it back this way. All right, other way. Definitely when it's rolled this way, to me sitting here, it's a little more forward, a little more in my face. Let's try it on the last one. Definitely the tightest out of the bunch in the bottom end. Here we go. And this way. Gets pretty bright on mode C with the reactance up there. The presence is definitely very high. So it's cool. A lot of little subtleties to really make the amp be your own kind of thing. And I can also see that being very useful if you are using, the IRs and going straight to a front of house. If you're using in-ears, a lot of ways you can tailor that so that it sounds and feels the way that you want it to. So now that we've checked that out, let's jump into the module I've got in here, the Dr. Z. Like I say, there's lots of flavors that they come in. That's really the cool thing about this. It's almost like collecting, hockey cards or something. You get this guy here, but you got this one, you get a couple high gain ones, you get the Steve Vai signature, you get a couple of the cool ones that are coming out soon. And you got a little collection that you can just drop these in, which is pretty sweet. So it's got a 3-button foot switch that comes with it. Or you can switch from the panel here, I believe. I'm going to use the foot switch, and I should mention it's a MIDI foot switch, which is another really cool thing about this, is it's MIDI programmable. And the MIDI can control a few things. There's a little list here for the MIDI, because if you're using the foot switch, or if you've got a MIDI programmable switcher, like I've got on my big board, it means that you can do all kinds of different presets. So you can have your pedals hooked into your MIDI switcher, and when you switch it, it'll do all these different things here. So it will select channels. So you've got 2 channels on whichever module you have in there, plus the clean channel. It'll select the structure. It will bypass the IRs. It will select an IR, and you've got 4 different onboard IRs here. And then it looks like it's also got a low pass level and a high pass level. So that's even something that I don't think we can control right on the amp here. So some cool stuff for the MIDI inclined. And there's also software for this as well. There's a software app that looks quite similar to the software that comes with the Soldano Astro 20. So if you're familiar with the Astro, it's got the same sort of thing where you can put it up on your computer, plug this in with the USB. There's more IRs available. There's you can program things, edit stuff on there, and get a lot of functionality that's not even right on board the unit. So that's pretty cool. So let's check out the Dr. Z. So we got two different channels here. Here's the green channel. Let's see what this guy can do. It's a very different tone than the clean channel. Definitely way tighter in the bottom end. So that's something, we've got a treble and a bass control here. If I turn this up a bit, let's see here. Cool. And we got a speed and comfort switch. This is the comfort setting. Put it on speed setting here. Let's see. Ooh, I like that. That's cool. Just sort of changes the attack and how immediate the response is. We've got a cut knob on here too. Nice. And treble range. Let's see how bright this goes. Pretty powerful controls. There's a lot going on there. And I think with these, it seems to be, as I'm turning the treble down, it feels like the mids are coming up too. So it's got that classic interactive EQ. Now, this will also work with the structure over here. So while I've got this tone here on structure A, I could switch this up to structure C. And I could change up the reactance too. Or brighten it up a bit here. And that's some stuff that you can have MIDI programmed too. So you can not only be changing your channels, but you can also have different structures to choose to. So a lot of options, even though you got one preamp in there, between 3 channels, especially if you're using a MIDI setup, you get a lot of different variations that you can have in there. Let's flip it over to the red channel here, where I've got the gain set a little differently. Cool. I mean, it really feels like I'm playing through any tube amp. If I was blindfolded, I wouldn't think I was playing through anything other than that, which is really neat. I mean, there's a ton of versatility on this little box, and it is little. It's a little lunch-sized thing, super portable. If I don't want my Dr. Z, I can throw my, what do I got here, PV6505 in there, really let things loose. But that's the cool thing about it. You're sort of buying into an ecosystem. You're not buying just one piece of gear. It's got limitless functionality. It comes with 4 IRs on board there, which they give you a few of their most popular ones. I think they're based on some Soldano cabs. There's like a Soldano 412, Soldano 112, probably a Marshall or a Boogie cab, something like that. If you open up the software, there's a whole bunch more cabs that you can use in IRs. I'm sure they'll probably add more down the road, because that's a neat thing. You've got this sort of digital functionality built in to the tube tech. So it's sort of, to me, I think this is really where the future of guitar is going, or at least I hope it's where it's going, because there's so much digital tech these days. And I'm still, I don't know, I guess I'm old school. I'm an amp guy. I mean, I grew up using digital multifexes, then I moved on to tube amps. I love playing through amps, and I really don't want tube amps to go away, but you know, clearly these days, big gigantic stacks and 100-watt heads are not the most practical thing for most people, but something like this can give you that experience in a much more practical way. So I can put in my Engel Powerball or my Bogner Ecstasy, and I can crank it up at, you know, tiny little bedroom level. There's headphone jack on here too. I could just throw some headphones on there. Doesn't even need to be hooked up to a cab. You know, you can just sit this on your desktop next to your computer, use it as your recording thing instead of using software or your multifexes. They're just going to keep on adding more and more modules of more famous amps as we go. So this is pretty exciting. I think this is the perfect blending of tube tech and digital convenience in this sort of modern age. So really excited to see this product finally land, and can't wait to get it out into the hands of all you players out there too. So there you go, the brand new Synergy SYN-20IR. At long last, 2025, it is here. So check it out. Thanks so much for watching. Come and see us in store. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. And cool little toy. I'll play with it a little bit more as the credits roll. Thanks for watching.